to whomever that person will be, is that you must take African American business as part of minority business as the priority, the most significant portion. Because without our businesses developing, we won't be able to hire those young people growing up in our city. Without our African businesses thriving, those opportunities will be wasted. And we, as advocates, have plenty of solutions for change so that the billions and billions of dollars that Baltimore City spends, the goal is 37%, that we can achieve that.
The MBE goal for Baltimore City is 37%.
Well, it's a combined goal, 25% for MBE, which is considered African American men, Asian men, Hispanic men, and 10% for women. That's principally white women. So that's the combined goal of 37%. And our belief is, on all of the opportunities that come out of the Board of Estimates, that 37% is the minimum that should be slapped on each one of those opportunities.
Okay, so when I call you and I share with you that Kim Trueheart is down fighting at the Board of Estimates, and we have Dr. Newton on the line, you just hold tight there, Doc, because we coming to you with the swiftness. But when you hear about a Kim Trueheart down there exposing the Board of Estimates where the contracts are doled out, where something like a $40,000 contract that is for picking the weeds around these new reservoir spots goes to a company. Let me just say, she was ticked. She was ticked that we, black people, with a majority and one of the highest percentages of black elected officials in the country, we are not getting the contracts.
Well, she should be. And as I understand that, because it did make local news, the opportunity presented itself as a subcontract to a major contract for maintenance throughout the city's parks. And that particular one was $40,000. And she, or Ms. Trueheart's position was that the squeegee kids could take advantage of this opportunity. And I agree. But on the other hand, we have to look at the structure of the entity that will employ the squeegee kids. Because anytime a person picks up a rake, a broom, power tool, there's potential for liability.
Yeah.
And
so you got to have insurance.
Yes.
It's something and this may not relate to picking of weeds, but you've been a big advocate for black people to learn about bonding. Is that your word?
Yeah, well, surety bonding. It's part of the casualty side of insurance. And
you said a lot of times if a company cannot get bonding, they cannot go to the next level. And I've learned in like DPW small business development class, when you don't have the credit worthiness or the capacity to gain credit, you can't take on the larger jobs.
That's exactly.
It's a game.
Well, I'm glad you brought that point, because currently DPW, which spends most of the money that Baltimore City procures, they enter into contracts minimum 10 million up to 50 million. And it's mostly for water work contracts, water and sewer. Huge contracts.
Because of the consent decree, this work has to be done.
It has to be done. The problem is this, the bonding, you said. We have African-American owned businesses, utility companies they're called, that can perform the work, but they cannot get bonded by their sureties because they cannot prove that they've done a $3 million job. So they could not get bonding for a minimum of $3 million without having to perform that. However, if DPW maintains its policies into the next administration of awarding $10, $20 million contracts without breaking them down so that our African American firms can perform, we will never produce the type of companies that can hire hundreds of folks at a time and win contracts of, let's say, 5 million or more.
Do these people get it downtown?
I'm 67 years old. I've been advocating since the ripe age of 49. Here in Baltimore City, that's a number of administrations, and no, not one of them have gotten it.
Yet Baltimore has one of the highest percentages of black elected officials. We have one of the highest rates of black businesses in the country. I mean, we're right up there with the big boys. New York, Philly, Baltimore's no joke, no slouch.
Well, Donnie,
What's the issue?
I don't think it's doing well in those other cities as well.
No, they're struggling. But, I mean, if you go to a place like Little Rock, Arkansas, you see it's not even a conversation.
Right.
So at least we have the conversation going. I was up in New York recently. They're working to increase their number of businesses from 2% to 22%.
Well, I think we've had a series of failures when it comes to developing African American business. I mean, minority business, yes, extremely successful. But African American business, no.